Days go by, years go by, life goes by, the time's are right to die. Days go by, years go by, life goes by.
Yes, indeed. Time of the Phoenix. Good evening, everybody. Yes, it is I again, the old wolf. Time for another episode of Dancing with Wolves. Not to be confused with Dancing with Demons, but yes, they do share something in common. Obviously, me. As always, I want to thank my brothers and sisters with Inner Demon Media, Inner Demon Radio, Sid Ryder, Mary Beth, Lindsay, Papa Olofsson, Lisa, and a whole host of others that I'm just getting to know, but we will get to know because there's some really cool people. So tonight's episode 68, we got Granny Goth, Rauncie Ryan in the house. Really honored. She's going to take the time and come out and talk about her pagan path, her magic, and a little something that she's going on this weekend. A little bit of goth industrial, a monster's ball. Yes, I see my brother Sid Ryder in the audience. Good to see you, my friend. Sid's been a big driving factor in a lot of the stuff going out here in the community. Shiya and myself and others have been doing things, but Sid's really been creating what I like to call the umbrella to really give people more of a voice. And yes, all hail Papa. Papa's a fucking cool dude, for those of you who don't know him. And I'm gonna shout out his stuff, as well as Sid's. I see my brother Derek in the house. I'm pretty sure Derek is Hogtooth, and we're going to be playing a track of theirs later. And if I'm correct, yeah, what's up, brother? Hogtooth in the house. It's fucking cool, man. It's one of the things I love about doing this. Again, I'm a musician. That track is one of mine, written with Jonathan Porter and Matt Brown on vocals from our album Music from the Garden that we released last year. We're working on a new album. Got a whole bunch of stuff coming out. A lot of people are doing music, and it's fucking groovy. You know, I preach a lot, and I've been doing this podcast for a couple of years now. But one of my core philosophies is strength in numbers. You know what I mean? We can't save everybody. We can't do everything. But we can make an effort where it counts within the people that speak to us. So I'm going to get you out here, Derek, on this one of these Tuesday nights or Saturday mornings or both, because I think you got some stories to tell, and I know you got some fucking music. These guys got some really cool music. Again, there are many different styles of music, but music is universal in its ability to touch people. You know what I mean? And it may touch you in a way that sometimes makes you feel uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Not unlike Sid, but that's why we love him. Okay? He challenges us. And he's brutally fucking honest. One of the things I love about Papa. So when we can get together, when we can communicate, when we can share our strength, our experiences, our hopes, dreams, and, listen, sometimes our fucking nightmares, we're stronger for it. We're better for it. I see Lord Vader's wife in the house. Jamie and my brother Derek. Yes, my brother Jonathan. For those of you who don't know, Jay Phoenix is Jonathan Porter, who co-wrote our opening song with me. He's working on the new album with us. He is one of my brothers. He was with us at Art for Autism last year when the Pocketful of Wolves performed. And it was our only performance. It was a one-shot thing. Greg Carr Schumann, Bruce J., my son, and Randy, who's a fucking cool kid, man. But this is why we do the things we do. Okay, this is how we make a difference. And as Sid says, yes, Derek can touch him all he wants. See, Sid's good about that. He'll give you all the love you can handle and then some. You know what I mean? He's not afraid to share it. And he, too, is down with the fucking sickness. But we all are, to some degree. But anyway, so as I like to do, I want to talk about some of the people within our circles, our brothers and sisters. And as mentioned, Brother Sid Ryder, Inner Demon Media, Inner Demon Radio, Tomorrow night, 8 p.m., him and Papa Olson have the Talking with Heathen show, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Definitely worth fucking checking out. These guys get into some real stuff. Sid also, again, within Inner Demon Media, is helping and building for a lot of up-and-coming bands like Bonded by Darkness, myself, and others. And this is a guy who does it without fucking contracts and for nothing. He doesn't get paid to do this. Okay? Actions speak louder than words. So sometimes all you have to do is look at a person and say, hey, you know what? He's got something going on. So you can check him out on YouTube, Facebook, at Inner Demon Media. He's got his Talking with Demon show Friday and Saturday nights. Saturday mornings, I do a show over there, coincidentally. And again, thank you for that. And that's a little thing that we do. I think I got another. Yes, here's some Inner Demon Media. That's Brother Sid right there. The scary looking guy. Which one is the scary one, though? See, we dance with our demons. We dance with witches. We dance with wolves. There's a correlation between a lot of this stuff. You know what I mean? And as mentioned, these guys got a show tomorrow night, Talking with Heathens. Now, one of them definitely is in tune with nature. Or could both of them be? But brother Papa Olson is a master crafter. Okay? There are few people out there that really know their shit. This guy's one of them. Okay? And in conjunction with that, for those of you at home, yes, Puppeteer.com. That's the place you go to check out some real magic. We're talking custom stuff. We're talking things that are one of a kind, okay? They're not mass-produced. You're not going to see everybody running around with them. Let me tell you, when Papa puts something out there, and Sid and my sister Mary Beth, what's up, sister? They'll tell you, that shit disappears fast. Papa put up a fucking necklace, elk, that I got for my son. And let me tell you, I jumped down that, I think probably within 10 minutes of fucking posting it. Because I knew. I saw the chatter. I read it. And I was like, yeah, no, if I don't jump on this shit, it's going to be gone. And this shit does. It disappears like that. For those of you who can't see, www.fjallvaetir.com, Valvatir.com. Really, really great stuff. Runes, custom drums, necklaces, all kinds of really, really cool stuff. I also have my sister, and I make it a point to never forget my sister, because I love her. Ashley Hart, Dream Catchers with Intention, Heart's Creations. We're going to see her next week. We're crossing the fucking border to meet up with her, because that's how much we love her. I can't say enough about her magic, her ability to create the dream catchers and the other ritual elements of things that she creates are fucking powerful. Okay? They are, again, custom pieces. She'll make a couple of a particular style, but again, this is not shit that's mass produced. Okay? It's not going to be, floating all over the fucking place. A couple people, sometimes one-offs. And they'll all have some unique dynamic that separates them and makes them different. Real magic. All right, check her out. Facebook.com/HeartsCreations. HARTS.creations. I got my brother, Tattoo Tony Rodriguez. If you're listening out there, brother, I love you and Ray. This is a guy I've known for a few years now. We started a little band that he continues to this day called Broken Past. He's a great person. He's also the head of the Under My Skin for Life Foundation, which coincidentally has the Arts for Autism event that's been going on for a number of years. But yes, brokenpastnewjersey.com. He's a world-class tattoo artist. Tony did a tattoo on Shiya last year. It's absolutely fucking incredible. And undermyskintattoo.com is where you can go to book an appointment. Yes, Morning Star, there's no music playing at the moment. Music will be played periodically. And we also have the Papo Sticker Company. Tony can take anything you imagine and make it into something. There's no other way to fucking explain it, okay? Anything. He can create it. He's got the machines and the equipment to turn anything your mind can imagine into anything your mind can imagine. PapoStickerCompany.com. Check him out. Now, I know my sister Mary Beth has been testing the water. She's another person I'm going to get out here. It's on my list of things that I must accomplish in my life. Yes, Mary Beth, we're all looking at you because we love you. And you've got some incredible humor, some incredible magic. And I'm really looking forward. Yes. Oh, shit. There it is. But no, listen, seriously. It's important for people to have a voice. Part of what I do is not only give myself a fucking voice, but to give other people a voice to try to the best of my ability. I don't pretend to be fucking perfect. I don't pretend to know it all. But I'll call certain things out for what they are to the best of my ability. A couple other people I want to shout out real quick before we dive into things. Rauncie's going to join us in a little while. She's literally going to fly in from some magic that she's up to join us. But I got my brother, Ed Contini. He was on with me Saturday show. I got him to come out and say fuck a whole bunch of times because he's a DJ on WRFZ with myself and Brian Judah and a whole bunch of others. But FM radio, you have to talk in a particular way. If you use those naughty words, we will come and find you and take you away to dark, dark places. Yeah, the FCC sentinels are fucking everywhere. So getting them on the Saturday show with the demons, my brother was able to just fuckity fuck and cut loose. So it was really cool. But he has a really powerful show that he does on Rochester Free Radio. Thursday afternoons, 3 to 5 p.m. He talks about relevant things within the communities. Okay. And it's not just our community here in Rochester, New York, but it affects all communities. Things like veterans issues, children's issues like autism, and other things that are relevant to the human condition. Let me tell you, Brother Ed is a fucking great guy. I am privileged and honored to call him friend and family. His wife, Diane. Oh, shit. Wait till I get her out here. Oh, my fucking God. She's a powerful woman. Incredible heart, incredible humor. But you don't want to fuck with her, okay? She's one of those people that could literally look at you and your internal organs will burst. You will just literally die on the fucking spot. She has that kind of power. So I love you, Diane. I hope you're listening out there. I see Sherry Chick with the pink heart. And if that's my sister, Sherry, love you, sister. So I can never quite tell. Some people, I assume, like I know Liz Lady Boss is a good friend. Hey, sister. You know what I mean? So certain things I do make a connection with, but not always. So sometimes it helps, you know, if you want to just throw, hey, it's me. I welcome everybody. And listen, if you want to come on the show, either on Tuesday nights or on Saturday mornings, just shoot me an email, wolf@oldwolfmusic.com. I'm having a great evening. I'm doing a show. It's what I do. Making music, talking, getting into trouble, as I will tell you. And Brother Ed and I are going to get into some fucking trouble. Well, you can be, Sherry. You can be now anyway. Welcome to the family. We try and love everybody, except Scientologists. That's one of my little fucking running jokes, but it's kind of serious. There are certain things. I come from the George Carlin, live radio. I come from the George Carlin School of Language, not to be confused with William Shatner. But the truth is, I don't give a fuck. I give a fuck to the degree that I care what happens to the people around me, even if I don't know you. I care enough to the degree that I want to try and make an honest effort like a lot of others. So I try and do my part. I try and share different perspectives on things. It's why people like, Granny Goth are so important, because she represents another layer, another element out there that we don't all get to experience. So, yeah, I see Sarah Rubin says, love Granny Goth. So, she's got some fans. And Morningstar says, to be clear, not everyone is loved. You know what? That is a fair and honest statement. Not everybody is loved, and that is unfortunate. Sometimes it's fair, sometimes it's not. Context is one of those fucked up things. Sometimes shit goes down in a moment, and I'll be the first one to admit, perspectives, and this is a good thing sometimes to chew on, really are relevant to the moment. And the moment has all kinds of interesting dynamics that aren't going to carry over, say, in a photo or in a text message, or even to some degrees in our memory. They can be charged with all kinds of funky, fucked up energies, anger, resentment, fear, lust, all kinds of things that, like a spice, will change the flavor of said situation. So, yeah, not everybody, but we can try. We can be open-minded. I have and will continue to the best of my ability, and jokingly, yeah, even probably fucking Scientologists, though I've never had one show up. I'll make the effort, you know what I mean? For whatever it's worth, I will try. I won't make any promises. I got too much Brooklyn in me, and the wolf side of me just tends to, if I smell bullshit, sorry, not sorry. But hey, we can learn. So one of the things we're going to play tonight again is a band, part of the Inner Demon crew, really great people, getting to know them outside of the scope of music. And that band would be Bonded by Darkness. They have a show coming up June 17th in North Olmsted, Ohio. It's going to be an album release party. They're releasing some new music, so I am fucking psyched to have some new stuff to start spinning. And I'm playing it on all of my shows. For those of you who don't know, I'm a DJ here in Rochester at the local radio station, WRFZ. I do the podcast, been doing the podcast for a couple of years now. And past couple of months, I have been doing a Saturday morning show on Inner Demon Radio. Yes, Rauncie in the audience. That's going to be interesting. See, Rauncie can be many places at once. So I know she's definitely probably tacking, some techno magic between here and there. But we're going to have her more directly in a few minutes. But again, Bonded by Darkness. Album release party, June 17th. If you're in Ohio, go fucking check them out. These guys are a great band. I'm going to play them in the interlude in Getting Granny on here live. And she has a little music from her event that's going to be this weekend. We're going to talk about that. So, yeah, we try to support bands. That's why I got Hogtooth on there. Hogtooth is another one that's part of the Inner Demon media circle. And I've watched how Derek has engaged himself. Listen, we can't, and I think, again, to some degree, there's an expectation on social media and stuff like that, if we just spam everything all the time, that somehow it's not really how it works. So we try and focus a little bit more quality versus quantity. Okay. It's not perfect, but we do make, or at least I do, the best effort that I can. So check out Bonded by Darkness, June 17th. Another show that's coming up, my brothers in Broken Pass, June 3rd, are going to be doing the Minister of Metal's What the Heck 5. Okay. This has been a multiple year event that Frank Tonra, a.k.a. the Minister of Metal. For those of you familiar with the Old Bridge Metal Militia days, he's one of those guys from that scene. Yeah, the old school metal. But they're doing a 3-day event to raise money and awareness for Ocean of Love for children with cancer. It's going to be at the Cavern, VFW Post 4703. That's in Jackson, New Jersey. There's going to be food, music, vendors. Broken Past is going to be playing. That's Tony Rodriguez. Black Rose Rebellion is also going to be playing. And they also, with Broken Past and myself, performed at last year's autism event. Now, we don't have a list of bands. It's going to be a shorter list of bands for logistical reasons, but we do have a date. Arts for Autism is going down again, September 23rd, 2023. It's going to be at the VFW Post 2179 in Port Monmouth, New Jersey. That's right there, Route 36, right off the Sandy Hook, Jersey Shore. Beautiful fucking area. So this is what we have announced so far, okay? Some of the guys, some of the names that had been involved over the years. Jose Hernandez Jr., who's an actor. Samu Anoy, who's a wrestler. Gene Snitsky, my brother Gene. He's a fucking monster of a man, but he's got an incredible fucking heart. He's going to be there. And Will Brimstone, okay? WXW Wrestling. And the foundation has been doing this for a number of years, crossing many of the elements within the different communities, not only sports and wrestling, but also actors and actresses, bands. So it's always a kick-ass time. Yes, September 23rd, 2023. We'll be talking more about that as we move through the summer. Again, don't have a list of bands or what's going on with that. But yeah, it's going to happen again. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the show, Granny Goth here has got an event this weekend, Saturday, May 27th, here in Rochester, New York, at the Photo City Music Hall over on Atlantic Avenue. It's going to be the Medusa Academy Monsters Prom. It's going to start at 8 o'clock. It is in conjunction with Energon. There's going to be some DJs. Energon, obviously, dressed in the Ray Black. And special guest to see Beyond the Shadows. And we're going to, for the first time, at least out here, play a track from To See Beyond the Shadows. Rauncie asked us to do it, and I always try and oblige our guests since they take the time to interact with us. Feels the least we can do. Some very interesting stuff. I got to say, you know what I mean? Getting turned on to other styles is always a really cool thing because I won't necessarily go outside the box. I'm a musician. So much of my time is spent between producing these shows, doing the stuff that Shiya and I do, and writing and composing fucking music. You know, I'm lucky if I remember my own name half the time, and the people who know me and interact with me in the flesh know that I am quite literally a fucking wolf. I tend to dance around the edges. I'm always watching and looking. And if you get too close, I might bite. Okay? Fair warning. I throw it out there. I let people know. And I don't always have to vocalize it, as Shiya will tell you. Many, many times, it's just an energy dynamic. Now, Rauncie, we met at a Beltane event a few weeks ago, and she's a really, really cool woman. So, Shiya and I, again, really wanted her to come out, talk about her experiences within the craft, her pagan path, as I like to call it. But she's also involved in the community here. So there's a natural correlation. We want to support the people that are obviously trying to set a better path for people. And I think she's one of them. But I'll let her talk for herself because she is the best teller of her story. But yes, check it out. If you're in the Rochester, New York area and you're not doing anything this weekend, or if you're just looking for something to fucking do, drive out here. Saturday, May 27th, 8 o'clock. It's going to be a night of some goth industrial monsters. It's going to be cool. I mean, I'm looking at that, you know, and unfortunately, Shiya and I have so many other things that weekend, you know, we really can't. I might send the monkey and some of his minions down there, but definitely worth checking out and looking forward to some more stuff that she's doing. So I'm going to cut to a track now. As mentioned, one of our Inner Demon Media family members, a band called Bonded by Darkness. This is their track, The Barren Encounter. And we're going to have them back again sometime soon after they finish up these shows, get the new album released. There's even whispers that there may be some collaboration of music going on. You never know. I'm kind of famous for that. Most of my tracks have all kinds of interesting characters on it, and that's the fucking way I like it. It makes for a great recipe. My mother, she's an old school Italian, you know, and her mother before her, and, you know, the family dynamic. You know, variety, spice. This is what makes life flavorful. So enjoy it. So yes, Bonded by Darkness, The Barren Encounter, and then we will be back, and hopefully we will have Granny on the line with us. Hang in there. So yes, that was Bonded by Darkness, the Baron encounter. Again, incredibly cool people, very powerful. Derek and Raven are a definite power couple. Really looking forward to hearing new music coming out from them real soon. So as promised, for those of you at home, on the screen is Granny Goth Rauncie, Ryan. And coincidentally, I have her here now. So, Rauncie, why don't you kind of jump in here and take the mic, as they say, do what you do best. Tell us who you are and what you're about.
All right. Well, greetings, everyone. I am Granny Goth Rauncie. I am a pagan chaplain at RIT. That's a story in itself, how that came about. I am a high priestess, have been a high priestess in my tradition for close to 25 years now. A practitioner for many years. I remember my first thing that I tried as a young person. I was 11 years old, so always had the interest, but became serious about it in my 20s. I'm 61 years old, thus the granny part. I have 6 grandchildren.
Now, you don't look like a 61-year-old. I mean, I got to be honest with you. When I met you, your pictures, you're doing something right, or you definitely have some fucking magic that the rest of us probably need access to.
Well, several people have said that's what it is. It's because you're a witch. It's because, I'm very involved in the vampire community. So yeah, I've got some magic going on there.
All right. So you're throwing a little bit of that Lestat type of shit into the mix here. All right. Well, hey, listen, I appreciate the honesty. Now I know not to hang out with you at night.
And well, I have to give some credit to my mom. I have some really good genetics. My mother also, looks very young, and my daughter as well. So it's a family thing. So yeah, I can talk about music. I can talk about being a witch.
Yeah, we'll get to the music. Let's talk about you, because one of the things that impressed me about you, and from what I've been seeing that you've been doing, is that you refuse to accept, the driven narrative, this construct of conditioning that somehow beauty is defined by these really one-dimensional parameters that just kind of get shoved down our throats. You've embraced the aspect not only of who you are, but also within, dare I say, your sexuality, your magic, and you're not afraid to be like, hey, this is who I fucking am.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. One of the other things that I do, and I'm very open about my life. I am one of the creators and founders of the Rochester Erotic Arts Festival. And it's something that I created with a friend, another woman. Her name is Susie. And she is like the driving engine. I take care of the art at the festival now because we've been doing it for a very long time. But our original vision of that was for everyone to feel comfortable being who they are, of expressing themselves, not to be afraid to use the word sex.
Right. And to do it in an environment that, was safe and comfortable,
Absolutely.
But again, encouraging and supportive.
Yeah. That's absolutely correct. That you do feel safe. And this also goes over into the events that I do. When I do my events, I, let people know this is a safe environment. This is an environment where consent, even though this is a dance event and not, a BDSM party, I expect this to be something that you ask consent to do anything with someone.
Well, I mean, that's the adult way. I mean, as most of us like to at least attempt to, right. I mean? Especially in this day and age, what I mean? And I'm grateful for it. As a single parent raising a son, it was always very difficult to counter a lot of the conditioned narratives, especially that men go through in regards to sexuality, how women are treated, how they're viewed and stuff, you know. And I was blessed again that I had a powerful mother who not only exposed me to, you know, the dynamics of my magic and music and stuff like that, but also really, to the best of her ability, try to convey the dynamic of, you know, you judge people based on what they do, not upon elements of sexuality or the color of their skin or all these other superficial bullshit type of things. But you and I both know, especially in the context of sex, people get freaked the fuck out. You know, you open that door and all of a sudden, you know, everything has gone fucking sideways.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah. And I just, you know, I've been through a lot in my life, starting at a very young age. And, you know, what we go through shapes who we are. And because of that, I am a very open, accepting person. And that's why I became a chaplain, you know, because I wanted to, and people always go, wait, a pagan chaplain, is that even a thing? But it is a thing. And
I think that's fucking powerful, because that is you basically saying, you know what, I'm going to approach this from all ends of the spectrum, not just polarize it, which we both know happens all the time. You know, I dare anybody to find any other context where there's going to be such an open-ended element to it, because by its very nature, people tend to, you know, they click into their clicks. You know what I mean? It's my way, it's the highway. My God's got a bigger dick than yours. You know, the narrative is always the same.
Right. And the thing that's been really great about being a pagan chaplain is, so I was raised in a completely different religion than what I practice now. So I had a lot of background, and I also studied comparative religion at one point. But being able to be that person who can work with chaplains of whatever faith they are, you know, to be able to reach out and say, hey, look, I'm a pagan, and they're exposed to something that they've never seen before and have only heard, you know, bad things about. So, you know, I really am being an ambassador for our community. And it was surprising when I heard people within our community making comments about there's no such thing as a pagan chaplain. And so I've been trying to really educate people on what that actually means. You know, what does a pagan chaplain do?
Well, you and I both know that there's so many variations between the reality and the lore. A lot of it has either been mistranslated or purposely co-opted because of dynamics, you know, either Christianity or other political narratives throughout history. My brother, Papa Olafson, who does the Talking with Heathen show, he literally lives the life. He has done the research, you know what I mean, traced his roots all the way back, and really is one of those guys that says it very much like you. There's so much misconception. There's so many really just fucked up stereotypes that the biggest, I think, challenge is again, having these conversations, showing people that no, this is not what being pagan, quote unquote, means, or within the dynamic of magic or witchcraft or any of the other loaded words that get tossed around, you know, because you're a witch also as well too, but you have a different take on it. You know what I mean? And I've noticed in how you interact, you embrace the old ways, but you understand the dynamic that, you know, magic as a word is only relevant to the time period. You know, what was magic 100 years ago is fucking technology now. So we're just limited by our understanding. Tell us a little bit about how you explain it, or as you know, how you teach it, whatever, you know, angle you approach it from.
Well, you know, first of all, what I say to people is there is no right way. You know, it is an experiential thing, you know, how we relate to the divine, how we relate to the world, even what magic is. You know, there's different kinds of magic. I was just telling someone today at the shop, because I do work at our local witchy shop. A woman was talking to me, and I was saying to her that what a lot of people don't realize is that the most powerful magic in the world, in my opinion, is our words. what we say, what we believe about ourselves, the things that come out of our mouth, how powerful that is. I mean, think about, when you think about a curse, think about if you say something really negative to someone, that to me is a curse. Your words are powerful.
Well, especially defined by the actions and the intent. Some people reference that as manifestation, but energy is still energy, is what you're describing, that you can charge anything with a negative dynamic, and especially words. The term spell comes from spelling, coincidentally. You know what I mean? Language does actually have, as you say, a big part in, but that's also what makes ritual so powerful, and why ritual throughout all the different cultures. Like, I got exposed earlier to a lot of the Romani Eastern European elements because of my mother and her family background. But as I got older, I also explored, Native American. I tried to explore all the different elements and things. And the consistent theme, again, is that energy aspect, regardless if you're talking about it in a blood dynamic or in runes or any number of analogies, and they're all interpretive. You know what I mean? Right. So we kind of get locked into, well, we have to do this under that. No, it's just the intent is what matters.
That's right. And the other thing is, a big part of it for me is making connection. When I come into a circle with people, I feel like the magic happens when we make this connection with each other. When in that moment, when we look around the circle at all the people that we are with, I say this at the end of every ritual I do. There will never be another circle like this. Even if all of us came together again at the same time next year or whatever, we will have changed. So this moment is sacred. And that making connection with each other, making connection with the divine, however you see the divine or your gods and goddesses, to me, that's where the magic happens.
And that's very honest, because it is a moment in time. It's unique and reflects, all those variables of energy, you know what I mean? And, you can recreate them to certain degrees. I mean, we can capture moments that, as a musician, that's what I try and do. I try and translate my magic into a song and then try and kind of put it in a fucking bottle, the old D&D approach, and then, get it out there to all the adventurers and say, hey, in the moment that you need this, crack the seal on this, it'll help you out.
And you said something about music at the very beginning. I was listening at the very beginning when you came on tonight, and I agree with you about music. Music is so powerful. It is a powerful form of magic. I think of like my DJs as like high priests that are like putting music out there. They're putting things together and creating a connection, memories for people. So
well, they're also channeling energy. Let's be honest. Music creates a dynamic, a wavelength, a frequency. Again, whatever words you want to slap on it. But now you have this interesting thing. People who know how to, dare I say, manipulate it, because manipulate can be good as well as bad. But especially in the dynamic of music, you're creating that element. And when people start to feed into it, it becomes literally a feedback loop that can, generate all kinds of fucking power. I mean, as a live performer, that is more addictive than any fucking drug. I'm not going to lie. I'll do shows for free just because I love the ability to perform, to share my magic, and it's literally a whole nother level.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of what I do for the love of the community. It's not because I'm out here thinking I'm going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, you and I both know there's not a lot of money to be made.
No, there's not. And I'd like to talk a little bit about, my event and why I created it, because this is all connected for me.
Absolutely. Let me throw that up on the screen so folks at home that are actually watching, excuse me, so they can actually see. All right, there we go. Yes, it is the Medusa Academy Monster Prom, Saturday, May 27th. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about it.
So what I want to talk about, like how it came to be, because this is the seventh event kind of in a series that I've done. The first one I did on June 15th in 2019 of, this particular type of event. And the reason I started it, the first event I did was a vampire ball. And 1 year before my first event in 2019, a young woman in our community was murdered by her boyfriend. She was also an MC for the Rochester Erotic Arts Festival. And I had worked alongside her in that capacity. I did not know her on a very personal level, but the fact that, this was a woman in our community that was beloved and loved, had been murdered, really affected me because I am a survivor myself. And so a few months after that happened to her, I was just sitting on my couch one night and I said, I want to do something to give to the community, to create memories, to not let her name be forgotten. In our tradition, we say those who are remembered live. And so I started this first vampire ball in her memory, and to donate money to Willow, which is the local domestic violence shelter. So this was me bringing music, which I absolutely love, my community, which I'm part of the Goth community here in Rochester, and bringing people together to say, let's do something to make some change in this community, and make us stronger. And I figured if I had some, how can I say this, some anchor events a couple of times a year that bring people in, then I can also tell them we have the greatest goth club in this town. And, I want to keep that going. Rochester is so blessed. I've traveled all over the place, and we really are blessed to have what we have here in our music scene. And I have to say, I love Vertex. It's like my family. So I did that first vampire ball. It was amazing. The city newspaper, I didn't even put an ad in, and they put me on the front page of the entertainment section. And so it was just packed. And I was able to give some money to Willow. And so then I went on to do a Halloween horror, a Krampus ball. I did a couple of Krampus balls. And then this past December, I did a vampire Krampus ball, which was amazing. So that is why I started it. It started in memory of Kelly O'May, who the community knows as Penny Scandal. There is a scholarship in her name that I have also been able to help with. And so, it's not just about the music.
But listen, that's the best fucking reason to have, is keeping not only the spirit of somebody alive, what they stood for, but actually using it to make a difference, raise awareness, and again, to provide resources. Our foundation, our motto, and we've been doing this a long time, just like you, is helping those in time of need. And there's
Right.
a lot of people that are in need at any given moment, in any given time, and there are enough elements out there within the community that if we all take a little bit of time, like what you're doing, we can make a fucking difference. And music is the best medium, dare I say,
Yes,
I think, to convey that, because it transcends all the other things that fucking divide us.
Yes, absolutely. And I've had, this is a little personal, but I don't care.
No, go for it.
I had, one of my lovers said to me one time, that they had never seen anyone who was so affected by music. And music has been like that for me my entire life. They say we all have like a soundtrack for our life. It's so true. And so music is huge for me. So being able to do this work using music and calling upon my friends, my DJs, Dresden, Energon, the Ray Black, who are part of my Vertex family, to help me do this has just been amazing. And I want to tell you a little bit about the story about how it came to be that I have to see Beyond the Shadows playing that night, because
we're gonna play a track of that when we take a break after this. So why don't you definitely give us the lead in on that?
Yeah, so I don't normally have a band. This has been a DJ only event, except for the very first Vampire Ball. I did have a couple of acts that came in from New York City. But my friend James, we were talking, and I was talking about, what I was doing. And James said, would you consider a band? And I said, well, yeah, I would. And I did not know that he was a part of a band. So he sent me some of their music, and I said, oh my gosh, yes, I would love to have you. So I'm really excited about having them. I know they're excited. Christian and James are amazing. We've been talking a lot about the upcoming event. I'm very excited about it. In the past, we've had goats, but we don't have any goats this time.
Yes, let's piss Pete off. I like it.
Yeah, we actually had live goats. It was amazing. People loved it. They took pictures with the goats, but we can't always have the goats, so no goats this year.
Yeah, listen, again, when you start getting into some of the stereotypical imageries and stuff like that, again, people tend to lose their minds. We live in a culture now that, people are shooting kids in their front lawns because they're fucking edgy. So, don't get me wrong. I'm a firm supporter, and my brother and Ed were talking about this Saturday morning. We should not censor things. We need to talk about things openly and honestly, and we should be human, quote unquote, enough to just simply be tolerant of people who want to express things in a different kind of way. You know what I mean? As long as it's not being shoved down your throat, it's the same element with music, radio. If you don't like it, change the fucking channel. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that's encouraging, and it takes courage. Let's be honest, to put yourself out there like that, because you and I both know a lot of people interpret it in a negative context. They don't want to understand. They'd rather dance behind the fear and the stigmas and all the other bullshit because it's safer and easier for them.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And when presented with someone like me, who breaks all those stereotypes.
Oh, you freak them the fuck out. I know it. I that's one of the things I like about you is like, yeah, she's going to make some fucking people blink twice.
Yeah. People are quite shocked, and just a few weeks ago, I was part of a panel with a a Hindu chaplain, where we talked about how we came to be chaplains. And that was wonderful because, getting back to that religious piece of it, the spiritual piece of it, years ago, I started at RIT when I used to be an assistant dean. I'm retired from that job. And during that time, I did something called Dessert and Dialogue, and that was an opportunity for people to come together and share what it is we have in common rather than what is different about us. Because I think we focus way too much on, the differences, and you will be so shocked when you find out all these things that you have in common.
Well, you and I both know historically that's how you control a population. That's how you manage a system, and that's historically, how every civilization, unfortunately, has worked. And then you have those like ourselves who are just like, yeah, no, fuck that. We march to a different drummer, and that's where the changes really come from. You look at every great historical shift; it's always centered on this underground dynamic. You know what I mean? It's never the popular thing. You know what I mean? It's never the in thing. It's always something that literally grows out of the ground, and then just its roots spread.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, because that is the way that we become divided as people, is when all we focus on is the differences in us. If we can just look each other in the eye and understand that we all want the same thing, and, you know, that's connection with other people. That's, you know, creating memories with each other. Like, and I really feel like music is the thing that brings so many of us together.
Oh, it's one of the most powerful ones for sure, because
Yeah.
it does. It transcends language. It transcends all these other barriers.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. It won't solve everything, but at
No.
least it can set the stage. We have a few people in the audience I wanted to say hi to. I got Leslie, my sister Diana, and we got Crystal Shevlin, my brother Derek. There are a few people out here who definitely been shouting out you. I see Marcia, Christine Norris, others. Now, Shiya had a question for you. And, you know, being surrounded by witches, I've learned to pay attention when witches come up on me and they're like, she's like, ask this fucking question now. Yes. No, but listen, it is a good thing for those who do not understand it. And she wanted you to define, because you mentioned our tradition, she wanted you to explain witchcraft traditions to those who are less familiar with the closed traditions of witches.
Mm-hmm. So I come from a tradition called Living Tapestry. That is my the tradition I was trained in. I am an initiated third degree high priestess in my tradition. I had to study for, just like if you went to college, and you know, there was 4 years of study and then working under a high priestess to have my own coven. And I have continuously had a coven. My coven is not active right now since COVID. I know that other people have experienced this too. Things just kind of like people stopped getting together. But I am going to be doing more, you know, circles.
The world is shifting again, believe me. Yeah. With the same dynamic of music, we couldn't perform. You know, for a couple of years there was no live performing. So we started doing things remotely and creating music, literally using the tech magic that was available to us. But again, you know, you're doing stuff, we're doing stuff, a lot of people are doing stuff, and this is where the common elements. We're gonna talk a little bit more. I want to put out 2 songs now back to back, and then we'll come back. One, obviously, is going to be from your show, and I have a little thing called Lost to the Sands that I'm going to play. And then we're going to cut on that for a little bit of Hogtooth, who's one of the new bands making the push in the scene. And again, like you said, Rauncie, I think there's a lot of common elements. You know, I know a lot of guys sometimes don't respect the dynamics of what DJs do, but I know a lot of DJs as well. And DJing is just as difficult, if sometimes more difficult, in performing a piece, especially, you know, if you're a polished musician and stuff like that. You kind of, you know, a lot of times will have a set list. DJs have to react to the crowd. They have to really shift elements of things, sometimes midstream, because that's the nature of a live audience. You know what I mean? They're not coming there specifically to hear a particular song. They're coming there for a particular vibe, a particular experience. So it does require a little bit more finer detail and a little bit more attunement, empathy, if you will, to be able to read an audience and be able to tap into that.
Right. Absolutely.
All right. So we're going to start it off with Lost to the Sands, and then we're going to pop some Hogtooth, and then we'll be back to continue our conversation with Granny Goth, Rauncie Ryan.
empty solace when this journey's done. And when these tears they fall to the sand, you know my grace is left behind to simple works of human hands. In silent dreams, no love to find. And in this moment, as the sun retreats, the gates are sealed gently. We're drifting off to sleep. And now all my tears are lost to the sands. So from this time we disappear. This falcon song echoes through the land. Within your heart you'll feel I'm here. Fall to the sand, and all my grace is left behind to simple works of human hand. In silent dreams, no love to find.
So yes, we had a little bit of new music, at least for out here. And we had To See Beyond the Shadows, Lost to the Sands, and Hogtooth. And Hogtooth, you know, Derek, I know he had to go take off and take care of his kids, but he's a really cool guy, really great band. You can check them out through Inner Demon Media, and you can check out To See Beyond the Shadows on Facebook and YouTube. You can reach out to Granny Goth here through Facebook and other social medias. I'm sure she'll be happy to point everybody in the direction on, she said, I believe James Cardella is To See Beyond the Shadows, correct?
That is correct. And Christian, and I don't have it right in front of me. Maybe, James, can you share what Christian's last name is? Or Christian, if you're on here, say hi.
Nice work there, brother. I really like that track. I do a lot of acoustic work myself, and it's a great medium for casting magic, as I like to call it. So well done on that one. And I see my sister Monica, another Inner Demon Media. Should we say personality, Monica? Because I understand we may be getting you out doing some stuff too. Christian Regals, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Cool. Listen, some nice stuff there. Really, keep it up. And again, this is the very definition of strength in numbers. You know, we can share, we can support each other. Yes, you were on Talking with Heathens, and that was really cool. I definitely want to get you out here and kind of let you fly a little bit more, because you have some very interesting perspectives and experience. And this is the beautiful thing about what we're all doing between all these different shows, these events and things. And, you know, Rauncie and I were talking about this while the music was playing. When we can find commonality, when we can find things like music that can bring us together, there's so much we can learn. There's so much fucking power in it. And Rauncie, I know you wanted to talk a little bit about, you know, your tradition a bit more. So why don't you give us a little bit more insight about your path?
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I want to say hi to my sister, Leslie. That's my sister in Louisiana who's on here tonight.
Ooh, nice. I'm a big New Orleans fan.
She's over in Lake Charles, Louisiana. So, of course, I was spamming all of my family and friends. You need to listen. You need to listen. So I'm really glad to see her on here. But yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit because I was thinking that, Shiya and I had talked a little bit about my tradition, and that may have been why she wanted me to talk about it. Because I do. So in our tradition, once you become a high priestess, what you do, I'm not held to a certain, you must do this thing this way. What I want to say about living tapestry is that whole idea that all the threads of our life create a living tapestry. That's where that comes from. And as I, over the years, as a high priestess and the work I did, I really started to see things in a different way. And about 20 years ago, I had a teacher who really changed how I felt about the divine. For a lot of people in the pagan community, there is the triple goddess, or that whole idea of Maiden Mother Crone, which always kind of bothered me. And I heard this teacher at a festival talk about a fourfold goddess. And that I went home from that festival and could not stop writing all these things that I felt like connected together for me just from that. So now what I teach my students is a fourfold way of thinking that includes the seasons. So spring, summer, fall, winter, for each of those, there are archetypes that we live through as human beings. So spring is the maiden youth, summer is the mother father, fall is the queen king, and winter is the crone sage. Now, there are other words for that too. Those are just the ones that,
Well, those are the faces that you have put on them, because you said very aptly, and I think this is the important part, they speak to you. That
Yes.
is how real magic works. That's how the old lore was born, was based
Right.
off of that. It didn't just, again, it wasn't like the 10 Commandments. It didn't just show the fuck up. People took that, interpreted it. It got passed down. And then over the years, through, again, different things, either purposely or not, they become distorted. They become warped, and then they get turned into things that they were never meant to be. You and I both know most of the Daemon lore is bastardized from the old gods and goddesses, tree spirits or any other analogies that just now conveniently became fucking demons.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So for me, this like really changed a lot of things for me because, what I was originally taught as a very young woman, it seemed like everything was based on before I could have a child, when I could have a child, and when I could no longer have a child.
Yeah.
I was like, not work because there's this. We live a long time now.
Well, but listen, male toxicity is not a thing, right? That just fake news, right? Right. We listen. In all seriousness, that is probably one of the deepest, most conditioned elements that we have across all cultures, across all spectrums, is this kind of outdated, kind of fucking illusion that somehow this works. And we all know that it doesn't. It hasn't worked. It's never fucking worked.
Right.
And we're just now starting to really have those conversations. I know a lot of guys are out there complaining. They're like, oh, they're fucking canceling everybody. I'm like, well, stop pulling your dick out. Then you got nothing to worry about. Actions have fucking consequences. But also in the same analogy, some of this is because we're actually, at least in some circles, and I use that term lightly, trying to have real conversations. We're not just, dancing around the fucking fluff. We're challenging the old stereotypes, the outdated conditionings that just really, again, are bullshit. They don't work.
Right. I agree with that. And, this is probably like way off the topic, but as you were saying that, it made me think of something. I have a lot of male friends, and I know that a lot of my male friends feel this way, or have even said to me that they're even afraid to flirt these days, to say something kind to someone. So I feel like the balance is off, and that we.
Yeah, but this is the pendulum of life, energy, unfortunately, you know what I mean? It has to go somewhere. So now, it's literally kind of swinging out the other direction because, again, we're going to be blunt about it. There's been so much imbalance for so long, and there is still so much imbalance that there has to be a place for it. You know what I mean?
Right.
It cannot exist in a vacuum. And sometimes, this is the bane of the human race. We really only respect and react when shit literally has us on fucking fire. You know what I mean? When the monsters are literally at the fucking gate, the bombs are dropping, you know what I'm saying? Until we're absolutely forced out of fucking apathy to actually do something. And then a lot of times it goes bad. You look at the French Revolution, their solution was, we're just going to cut everybody's fucking head off that, has something better than me.
Right.
And then you look at other things, you look at the late 60s and the civil rights movement, you had elements of violence, but you also had elements of love, music, counterculture, and really trying to expand, as my mother famously says, the consciousness of people in general, to wake them up as to what is going on around them. And that's been a struggle that's been going on ever since.
I agree. Yeah.
So again, within your personal, listen, and here you want to talk about fucked up magic. I mentioned my mother, and she appears in the goddamn chat. The law of unintended consequences. Thank you, my mother. For those of you hanging in the chat, Estelle Zubek is my mother. She is to blame for me. So for those of you who have issues with my comedy and or choices, you may send your hate mail to her. Love you, Mom. So listen, I know one of the things especially for you in interacting within the community, is you believe, like I do, that we cannot lose our connection with the young. You do not let your age define who you are or how you choose to interact. And that's not always easy to do, especially within, culture as a whole, because there's a certain expectation that, we're supposed to go off into the sunset or go play golf or do some fucking, crocheting shit. And you're like
Right.
me, you're not giving in.
No way. Absolutely not. Yeah. And so during COVID, I made the decision that I was going to do the TikTok thing. And that's where the Granny Goth came from. Um, and I want to tell you that I was really anxious about it, because in the goth community and in a lot of music communities, there are people who are very staunch gatekeepers. And so I knew I was opening myself up to the possibility of, you know, being picked apart. But I said, you know what? I don't care. I want to reach out to the young people. I want young people who are loving the music, um, loving the subculture. I want them to feel welcomed and not be afraid if they don't have a list in their head of all the music that they love that is goth. Because I have ADHD, and if you ask me for a list, I might have a problem.
Listen, we were talking earlier. See, I don't buy into that label stuff. You're just too intelligent for most people to understand. That's how we're going to slice that. Because I think, well, listen, half the battle, and you said this, was within our words. You know what I mean? Words are used too callously, too casually. We'll just slap a word on it. Oh, okay, they're different, ADHD, or, any number of analogies. And that, I think, goes back to the conditioning. And as Monica says, we are as young as we think.
That's right.
But it does reflect that, again, a lot of the powers that be, and I say this lightly because power is an illusion, but how it's worked, again, culture to culture, civilization to civilization, you keep people divided. You keep people fucking stupid. You keep them trapped within these constructs that say you're less than, you don't fit the mold because you don't, dress a particular way, you don't talk a particular way. All these, again, superficial illusions that, again, at the end of the day, don't serve anybody besides a select few that, again, are doing it. I refer to it as weaponized empathy, because it really does. It preys upon people's fears, their insecurities. Everybody wants to be loved. We had somebody in the chat earlier that was, talking about how not everybody is loved, and she was right. Not everybody is loved, and that's an unfortunate thing. Now, sometimes there's reasons, you know what I mean? Being a student of Carlin, I'm automatically going to throw the fucking Hitler analogy out there. Yeah, it's hard to fucking love a fucking genocidal fucking Nazi, but you know what I mean? It carries over. So, where we draw those lines, who is deserving of love, what defines love, and especially when you conflate it with sexuality, which we all know our culture has really done a bang-up job on, it's a fucking mess.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I wanted to be someone that young people could look to and say, well, I wanted them to feel safe with me, and know that Granny Goth accepts them no matter what they're wearing or no matter, what label they want to put on themselves and all of that. And so I just poured myself into it. I'm a very open person. I don't hide anything about myself. We were talking a little bit on the break about I'm in recovery. I don't hide that from people. I'm very open about it. I've talked on some of my videos about bullying, because I was bullied as a young person, because I was different. And the response has been amazing. My fear never came to fruition. What happened was all these people started sending me messages about, how I was calming to them and it helped them. And that's what I wanted to do. And I feel like if I am honest about who I am, and if I'm honest about what I'm going through, and if I share with people, my experience, I feel like that's the best way that I can help. It's really the only thing I can
It's
think
honest.
of.
It's honest,
Yeah,
and it takes courage. I mean, let's not, again, dance around it. It's not easy to put oneself out there, so I commend you on it, but it also does reflect, and it's a good tenet of recovery in general, regardless of what end of the spectrum you're on, when we can be honest, when we can embrace our failings, our fuck ups, whatever you want to call them, that's when we can really learn, when we can grow, and by default, then actually heal. I mean, it's the great paradox, because we were talking also too about high functioning empaths, and a lot of us here are high functioning empaths. And here it is. Here's the paradox. We're great at helping other people, just really shitty at helping ourselves.
Absolutely.
We tend to spin in our own fucking heads. You know what I mean? As Monica says, we can love the soul, just not the way they showed up. But we can read everybody. So every time somebody comes around us, we're getting the broadcast, whether we want it or not. So when you're continually assaulted by that, and especially when you experience things like bullying or any number of, things that threaten our self-esteem, our version of who we are, or, worse, when we're manipulated for a variety of different things, there's damage that's done. And that damage tends, again, especially with high functioning empaths, we tend to internalize it. You know what I mean? We don't want to put the burden on anybody else. So we'll literally drown in our own fucking despair versus, be like, hey, no, help, and it does. It takes courage to do that.
Yeah. And, one of the things that really, I would say, pushed me to do that is that I have 2 grown children. My children, Naomi and Curtis, and I wanted them to see me for who I was, not just, I think when we're younger, we see our parents as like on a pedestal or kind of hard to explain.
I mean, it goes to context. Me growing up, my father was an abusive, alcoholic asshole. There was no pedestal. There was only the monster at the gate. So I learned how to beat the fucking gate down to get at the monster. And that ended up me having to live on my own. My mother did the best that she could in the analogy, but she had 5 kids. And I was out of fucking control. So, lesser of 2 evils, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few of the one. But she gave me the tools not only to survive, but to learn from those experiences. Because we all know sometimes we have to go through bad shit to actually understand it. It's like chocolate. Until you've tasted it, what do you really know? It's just an abstract concept. So, certain things, unfortunately, but as one parent to another, I understand the analogy. You wanted to create something different. You wanted to some degrees, I think, break what I call the generational curses that we tend to carry forward, from one generation to the next.
Yeah. And, I think I really used the wrong analogy when I said the putting someone on a pedestal, because I was a messed up parent when my kids were little. What I was trying to get across is, that I wanted my kids to see that I was just a human being and not just, a parent. Do you know what I'm saying by that?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And that I had struggles, and so I was, like I said, way earlier in this, I was a victim of domestic violence, and my children saw this. And, I wanted them to have a better life for themselves. And then this past 1 year ago, my daughter was attacked by her ex, and it was an absolutely horrible, traumatic thing for her and her daughters and myself. Our whole family was traumatized by it. And, knowing that, everything I do, I'm doing it thinking of, I want to have a legacy to give to my children, to my grandchildren. I want them to not be afraid to be who they are, to speak up, to stand up for themselves, to be badasses. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, listen, you're preaching to the choir. I'm a fucking wolf, and for many, many years, it was just me and my kid. You know what I mean? So everything in my world was framed. I walked away from music. I walked away from fucking humanity, basically, to raise my son because I refused to accept the stereotype. And, that was what it was in the moment. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Now that he's older, we make music together. He's a huge part of my world. But I look at the man that he's become. And like what you said, I know that I've been able to shift the narrative. I have changed the stars in not only how he was raised, but in what will now come forward from, and let's be honest, it's an investment. You had to give up a lot. Every parent, I know my sister Diana out there, she knows, being a parent is not a fucking easy job, especially when you're actually trying to do the right thing.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Well, I feel, that my kids definitely growing up had it rough because I struggled with alcohol and other things. And you can't change the past for certain, but you can definitely do things to, when you come to that place, like me being in recovery now, that I can pass on that legacy. And I will tell you that both of my kids are strong people. My son is a CPS worker now. He's out there doing that work.
Listen, again, we can only do so much, but the fact that you're still invested, it reflects. Even if everything else is chaotic and fucked up and we make mistakes, you and I both know there's certain elements of things that we pass on. So despite everything else that the world may throw at us, and, again, your situation, like a lot of others, wasn't exactly by choice. You know what I mean? You were dealing with not only what I call the shit sandwich, but also trying, to be a parent. So, it's real easy to point the finger and judge, but, time is the great equalizer. When you can now step out of it and you can look at it, we all have to go through it. The world is never going to be this paradise of beauty and light. We have to dance with darkness. A lot of what we do and talk about is reflective. We talk about dancing with demons and inner demon media and all these things. It's not because we're a bunch of fucking Satanists. It's because if you don't understand the dark will fuck you up. You know what I mean?
That's right.
Yeah, it doesn't give a shit about what you think or what you feel or any of those other things. It just is what it is.
Right. Absolutely.
So listen, I'm good. Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
I was just going to say I totally agree.
No, it's always great when people agree with me. It makes me feel good. Makes me feel all tingly inside. Or as Diana says, hearts and unicorn farts. Yeah, I'm not. Listen, there's only certain situations where I blow smoke up people's asses. It has to be very unique. It has to be very much set. You know what I mean? But as a general rule of thumb, I don't like it, and I don't like participating in it. It doesn't help anybody. I use the Wizard of Oz analogy. You know what I mean? You pull the curtain back, and it's never what you expect it to be.
Right.
That's, that is the nature of illusion magic. That's one of the things I try and teach is that, illusion magic is real. It's framed around weaponized empathy. Narcissists use it to create a alternate reality where they can manipulate people. That's where the damage is done. And by its very nature, it's a fucking illusion. But we get caught up on words. So, again, here, take a pill for that. Your feelings don't count.
Right.
Instead of actually, dealing with, hey, what the fuck is going on? And some of that is the conditioning. I always make it a point, and I'll say it again for anybody who's fucking paying attention. It cannot just be women calling this shit out. Men, you need to get the fuck off your asses, and you need to call the shit out. It's not just about you. It's for our sons and daughters, for our friends, our family. Okay? This is the only way it fucking changes. You have to call it the fuck out. So we're going to take a music break. I promised everybody a promo of one of the new songs that Matt and I have been working on. It is a little ditty called The Eight of Swords. It was influenced by some of the interactions out here. And, unfortunately, for as much as we have it good, a lot of people have it really shitty. And it's easy to forget that. So this song was kind of born out of that. Hey, you know, we may not be able to change everything, but we can still empathize. We can still give a shit. So here is the first rough release on Eight of Swords, and then we'll be back. So yeah, there it is. The first rough vocal run, one of the new songs that'll be coming out later this summer. Really excited to be working with Matt Brown and Jonathan, Tony Rodriguez, my son, Shiya. Shiya is going to be singing on some new tracks. A lot of really cool stuff coming down the pike and some live shows and stuff. And speaking of which, we got Granny Goth, Rauncie, Brian. And by the way, I wanted to make a point of this before and kind of got a little bit distracted as I tend to because my brain works faster than my mouth does. But as a man, and I want to say this humbly, I appreciate more than you know the dynamic that you have embraced because it really does show. And I say this to my sister Diane out there. Just because we're older doesn't mean we don't have passion, doesn't mean we don't have sexuality, doesn't mean we can't shine in whatever fucking way works for us. You know what I mean? We do not have to be limited by these bullshit illusions that, just because maybe, what I mean, you're not a plasticine Barbie somehow makes you less than. And I submit to you, because I did all my fuck ups when I was younger. I was lucky by the time I got around to having my son. I got all the fuck ups out for the most part, most of the fuck ups out of the way. I was already 2 years in clean. You know what I mean? I made some mistakes, obviously, in the choice of his mother, but that's a story for another day. But I tried to the best of my intent to go into it. And I had my mother's support. She's been in recovery for many, many years as well, too, to try and do the right thing. And one of the elements of that was literally, again, dealing with some of these bullshit illusions regarding sexuality. As a guitar player, as a musician, that was part of the drive when I was younger and going out there and performing, because that was the expectation. I'm a long-haired guitar player. You know what I mean? So therefore you should fuck me. You know what I mean? And it was so ass backwards, and it really just fed the disease. It fed the darkness to a degree that, by the time, before I got into recovery, I had already tried to kill myself. You know what I mean? So for anybody out there thinking it's cool or that this is the way, it's bullshit. It's an illusion. It's a lie. Okay? You won't find any satisfaction in it. And I really wanted you to talk a little bit about how you've been framing it. You mentioned that, you have this dynamic within, the erotic community and stuff like that. But I also noticed that you balance that within not only your spirituality, but also in how you approach people in general.
Yes, I mean, I definitely am one of those people that am willing to talk about anything, including things that have to do with sexuality. And it was one of the reasons why, like I said, we started the Rochester Erotic Arts Festival, because we wanted people to have those conversations. We wanted people to feel comfortable about, being sexual and doing the things that make them happy, regardless of, how old you are. Of course, you need to be of age. But
right. Well, exactly. Well, hold on. We got to make that clarification, because some fucking freak somewhere would be like, oh, they're endorsing child porn. No, we're not endorsing child bullshit or anything like that.
So, as long as you're of age and, there's consent, people should be able to do whatever they want to do. And Keith just brought me a candy bar. So
special delivery.
Yes. And, being 61, to me, one of the things I want to say is that in my head up here, there's this part of me that's like, okay, there's that number 61, but I feel inside of me just like I did when, I don't know, I was in my 30s. I don't feel like, oh, I can't do those things because I'm this certain number. I've had people say to me, when are you going to grow up? When are you going to stop dressing like you
Well, if you're like me, I'm hoping the answer is fucking never.
Never, never, never. I'm going to be who I am, until I die. I'm not going to, so I do like rocking chairs, but I'm not going to give up my, what I'm doing. I'm not going to hang up. There's that song. I'm not going to hang up.
I like rocking chairs when I was fucking 9 years old. Again, it doesn't mean anything.
Yes, absolutely. But I'm not going to just sit down and be like, well, I'm too old for that. And I think it's really important for young people to hear that too, that because I have heard young people say before things like, ooh, it's really weird having these old people around because, and you know what? We're just like you on the inside. We're just like you. We just have more experience in life.
Well, I was to say we probably know a few more tricks than they do, and that's usually the case when push comes to shove. But that's also the beauty about it. Sometimes with these types of interactions, this is where we really, again, we become challenged. We can learn things, and by default, we get to experience so much more. You know what I mean? Again, if you're talking about it in its purest form, sexuality is just another form of experience, just like music, just like eating, just like sleeping, farting. Pretty much everything we do is a context of an experience. And just like everything else, you can become addicted to it. So anything can be bad in the wrong context or if over applied. So even in something as simple as our sexuality, it's unique to the individual. It isn't really supposed to
Absolutely.
be about. Now,
Right.
granted, there's a case to be made. We want people to respond, and that's one of the things I always really liked about the type of stuff that you're doing. When you give people a chance to do the costumes and dress up, it's role play to a degree. People get to
Mhm.
embrace this dynamic that they don't always really get to, or more importantly, feel comfortable in everyday life. You can't just show up to your job usually dressed like a fucking vampire. It
Mhm.
doesn't
Mhm.
fly. But
Yes,
you
it's a bit
created an environment where people can do that. They can actually now expand off of the normal day-to-day stuff.
Absolutely. It is that chance for them to live out their fantasies, to do those things and to feel like, hey, I can do this here because everybody else is doing it. Since I was very young, I've talking about the vampire thing, I've always been very drawn to that vampire archetype. And I will say that a lot of it was erotic to me. There was just something very erotic about, the vampire, how the vampire would, you know, draw the person in, and I had this experience when I was young in the car with my parents driving on Halloween night, looking out the window and seeing this woman walking down the sidewalk who had this amazing vampire outfit on that looked like something out of one of those old black and white movies, with the long flowing, it looked almost like a nightgown type thing. And I thought she was the most beautiful creature I had ever seen in my life. And I said, I want to be like that when I grow up. Well, I have become like that in many ways.
But at least you haven't grown up, though.
No, I'm never going to stop doing those things of, creating these characters that I become. And because by doing that, by taking on these personas or these costumes that I create, it is a form of play, and it's something that I love to do. And I love to get up on the stage in a costume, and though people do say that they know who I am no matter what, because I have a very
You have a unique energy.
yes, the way I carry myself. I'm like, damn it, how did you guys know it was me?
Well, listen, if you're like me, and this has been the bane of my existence the past couple of years since becoming bonded with a witch and being a high functioning empath, when you're around other empaths and stuff, you know what I mean? It's tough. I'm used to just kind of being like, all right, if I stay in the fucking shadows, I don't have to deal with you fucking silly humans. And Shiya has kind of dragged me kicking and screaming back into the light. And, it's a challenge sometimes, but I do respect and appreciate it. I would also go so far again, and this is at least just my opinion, perception on it. It is another form of magic. You're creating a visual spell. It is by its very definition what glamour magic really is about. It's not always about illusion. It's about, building off a particular core of energy, be it sexual, be it whatever. But it does have, an element of that manifestation, of that core intent, like you were talking about, that especially when you have a group of people, it becomes all the more even fucking powerful.
Absolutely. And it is a very powerful feeling when you are, becoming this, what you have created. But the other thing that I want to say about it, you talked about being a high functioning empath. It also is a way, when I am at one of my events as the hostess and the person who's putting this event on, I have this fabulous costume on. In some ways, it is also a piece of armor. It helps me to not
no
have
doubt. Yeah.
So I become this persona in the middle of hundreds of people. And then, I also have a green room that I can go to if I need to, because that energy, all that energy around me can sometimes become overwhelming. So I think for people who have any kind of anxiety or fear, putting on some kind of a costume can help you to come out of that. Can help you to get on the dance.
That's a great analogy. Absolutely. That's why a lot of performers do that. You know what I mean? It's not all just stage presence. A lot of it is defensive in
Right.
nature. Some of it obviously is, reflective of, again, who you are or what you're trying to convey. Certain bands have famously adopted particular styles because it represents their message, what they're trying to convey, or their style, or again, whatever you call it. But I also
Mhm.
notice again, too, within, the spectrum of how you've been presenting this, it isn't just one dimensional. There's many different dimensions of things that you're kind of bringing together, not just between the goth industrial elements, but, the vampire element, the magic element, the music element, and
Mhm.
obviously the empathy element. That this is, we're not just getting together just to have a good time. There's a reason behind it. Granted, yeah, it's good. Everybody enjoys it, but it isn't, again, just so shallow as for people's fucking ego.
No, absolutely not. Because, when I get up there on the stage at midnight and I do the toast, I talk about the connection that we are making with each other when we come together to these events. That it's much more than, for at least for me, and I know for some other people that come, it's much more than what you see on the surface. And if you can open yourself up to that, that it's just so powerful. To me, creating memories that we carry into the future is so important, because you can have lots of stuff, but what you're really going to have when you're 95 years old, if you live that long, are your memories.
Yeah. No, and it's well said. And listen, again, it is the driving dynamic of why we do everything that we do, if not
Mhm.
for those experiences, wherever they are. And
Yeah.
again, I would submit, again, if you're in the Rochester area this weekend, it's a good a place as any to explore something different in an environment that not only is safe, but encourages people to explore, encourages you to kind of, hey, fucking enjoy it. I mean, the old stereotype of the witches dancing around the fire didn't just come out of nowhere. The dancing, the celebration, the music, all of it is part of ritual that goes all the way back to the fucking beginning.
Yes. Yeah, and I encourage people to come out, and people worry about what to wear. If you're worried about it, wear a black band t-shirt and black pants. Don't get hung up on it. But you can come in fetish wear, you can come in goth wear, you can come in a crazy costume. It's just, be yourself. Come as your magical self, whatever that is. Um, and you
I
would
like
be
the way you
well.
said that. No, and listen, it really is well said.
Mhm. I want to give a shout out to somebody that just came on. Kitos Di Giovanni is my life partner and someone who supports me
Welcome, Ketos. He
yes.
made a comment. He said, "Good point about a costume functioning as a kind of armor," and yet
Mhm.
it is dead on. It's a physical representation, but we all wear masks regardless. We put a mask
Ab-
on when we go to work. We put a mask on when we go to the supermarket. We put a mask on, you know what I mean, when we have to go, to our great uncle's, 50th birthday party, even though he's a fucking drunken lech and we don't want to be there, but we got to fucking smile because we don't want the rest of our family to be pissed off at us. So we,
right.
instinctively, especially high functioning empaths, we know you have to put up those defensive barriers because you can't
Right.
just expose yourself to all the bullshit. And I use the analogy with energy. People are like, oh, crystals bullshit. Oh, energy's bullshit. I'm like, really? Let's talk about radiation. Can you see radiation? No. Can you smell radiation? No. Can you taste radiation? No. It's still fucking real. It doesn't give a shit if you don't believe in it. If you stay
Mhm.
exposed to it, it will fucking kill you. Okay?
Yep.
So we didn't understand radiation 200 years ago. So we thought it was the devil's work, you know what I mean? Oh, somebody, and it's all bullshit. We're just limited by our understanding. But make no mistake, energy is real. And there are so many fucking forms of it that we don't even have a clue of understanding. It really is stupidity. And yes, I'm saying it. It's fucking stupid to assume that there are energies we don't understand. You know what I
Right.
mean? Because you and I both know, especially when you talk about the dynamics with music, how energy will be passed from person to person to person to person, and it will feed off of it. And it's like an orchestra. It will build to a crescendo. And that experience in that moment, that isn't an illusion. That's fucking real.
Yes, it is. It's like being in a big cauldron. You know, what if the cauldron comes out changed? You know, and yeah, I love it. I love it.
Well said. Listen, I want to thank you again for taking the time to come out here. Looking forward to the stuff that you've got going, and hopefully we're all going to work on finding some common ground. I'd like to definitely get you on the local WRFC show and talk about some of the things that are going on. I know you and Shiya have a lot in common. Mythical Treasures, we're going to give them a shout out there because I've been using them for years, and you obviously are connected with them. And you know, this is, again, as much as we think that we're disconnected, we really are connected. We just have to take a little bit of time to look around, pay attention to what's going on, and be open-minded to actually listen to other people, because you have some really powerful stuff, you know, that you bring to the table. And that's how we learn. That's again, how we grow and how we get stronger. So again, I really want to thank you for taking the time to do that for us.
Thank you so much for having me on. And if people want to find me after this, I am Granny Goth on Instagram, Granny Goth on TikTok, and my website, Rauncie.org.
Very cool. We're going to definitely have you out here again. Thank you, everybody, again, for supporting and coming out. Check them out. Again, if you're in Rochester this coming weekend, Saturday, May 27th, 8 o'clock at the Photo City Music Hall, the Medusa Academy Monster Prom, brought to you by Granny Goth Rauncie and Energon. They're going to have DJs, Energon, Dresden, and the Ray Black, and again, special guests. And they got to be special because Rauncie already made it a point. She doesn't use live bands. So having these guys in there definitely makes a statement to see beyond the shadows. So again, till next time, remember, as much as we think we know, we really don't fucking know. So go ahead, go out there, jump in the pool, explore it, have some fun. Remember again, and as Granny said, make sure it's consenting. Men, don't just pull your dicks out, okay? We don't live in that world anymore. I guarantee you try and pull that shit, witches are going to fuck you up, okay? They're not playing anymore, okay? There's a reason men tried to burn them back in the day, and guess what? It didn't work. Now they're back, okay? So learn the lesson now before it's too fucking late. Again, know that you are loved. Try and love each other. Until next time, we'll dance with some more wolves. Have a great evening.